Welcome to Hockeywiztalks podcast. Today I'll be previewing the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. AFC Divisional Round Preview. The first divisional round matchup in the AFC is between the Tennessee Titans and Baltimore Ravens. Key players for the Baltimore Ravens: Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Mark Andrews, Matthew Judon, Earl Thomas, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphreys, Chuck Clark, and John Harbaugh. For the Tennessee Titans: Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, Anthony Firkser, Logan Ryan, Jarrell Casey, Kevin Byard, Rashaan Evans, and Kenny Vaccaro. After upsetting the heavily favored New England Patriots, the Tennessee Titans will look to do the same against the heavily favored Baltimore Ravens, who are led by MVP candidate Lamar Jackson and possess the best record in the NFL at 14-2. The Tennessee Titans will have to stick to what got them to this game, the run game and Derrick Henry. In the wild card game against the Patriots, Henry rushed for 182 yards. The Patriots defense had no answer for Derrick Henry as he did what he wanted all game long. Even though the Titans have had success down the stretch with the run-dominant attack, they will need more than just Derrick Henry to beat the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have the best rushing attack in the NFL and also have the second most offensive yards in the NFL as well. Lamar Jackson is a game-changing player. He is a quarterback built like a running back, so the defense needs to be prepared for a run play with Lamar Jackson. Unlike most running quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson is very hard to tackle because he has explosive, game-changing speed, which makes him a matchup nightmare. On top of that, Lamar Jackson is also a great deep thrower and can throw on the run. Baltimore's whole offensive scheme is designed around Lamar's running ability, so if the Titans are able to slow him down, they stand a pretty good chance. Going up against Tom Brady, the Titans defense stood tall, holding him to only 209 passing yards and yielding only 13 points. The Titans defense is going to have to step up if they want to beat the Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens defense isn't very flashy, but they always find a way to get the job done. John Harbaugh and his staff always have unsung heroes step up in the playoffs. Tennessee Titans win if Derrick Henry dominates and the Titans defense can hold Lamar Jackson at bay. Baltimore Ravens win if Lamar Jackson plays like an MVP and their defense can slow down Derrick Henry. My prediction is that the Baltimore Ravens win 30-21. The second divisional round matchup in the AFC is between the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Key players for the Kansas City Chiefs: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Anthony Hitchens, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, Terrell Suggs, and Andy Reid. For the Houston Texans: Deshaun Watson, Carlos Hyde, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenny Stills, J.J. Watt, Benardrick McKinney, Zach Cunningham, DJ Reader, Whitney Merciless, and Braden Roby. The Houston Texans are coming off the heels of a thrilling come-from-behind victory in the wild card game against the Buffalo Bills. The odds will be stacked against them in the divisional round as they face the heavily favored Kansas City Chiefs. The Houston Texans are led offensively by Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. They form one of the best QB wide receiver tandems in the league. Deshaun Watson is a game changer at the QB position. He is a dual threat quarterback and always seems to play well in big games. DeAndre Hopkins is a star wide receiver that has game-breaking ability. The Chiefs need to find a way to keep him under check. In the wild card game against the Buffalo Bills, the Texans defense allowed 425 yards of offense, but only yielded 19 points. They cannot give up that type of yardage against the Chiefs, or else they will get killed. The Kansas City Chiefs are perhaps the most explosive offense in the NFL. They have a superstar quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, along with star wide receivers Tyreek Hill and star tight end Travis Kelce. In the Week 6 matchup, the Texans actually beat the Chiefs 31-24, but a lot has changed since then. In that Week 6 matchup, the Chiefs' offensive line was very banged up, and Patrick Mahomes was not 100%. Since the loss in Week 6, the Chiefs bolstered their defense by adding defensive tackle Mike Pennell and former Pro Bowler Terrell Suggs. This is a matchup between two of the premier quarterbacks in the league, in Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. However, the winner of this game will be the team that plays better on defense. Houston Texans win if Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins dominate and the Texans defense can slow down Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City Chiefs win if Patrick Mahomes dominates and the Chiefs defense plays good. My prediction is that the Kansas City Chiefs win 31-24. Check out my fantasy sports blog at hockeywiztalksfantasy.blogspot.com. Check out my Facebook page at Mr. Hockeywiz777 and my Instagram Mr. Hockeywiz77. NFC Divisional Round Preview. The first NFC Divisional game is between the Minnesota Vikings and San Francisco 49ers. Key players for the San Francisco 49ers: Jimmy Garoppolo, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, George Kittle, Emmanuel Sanders, Richard Sherman, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Arik Armstead, and Dre Greenlaw. For the Minnesota Vikings: Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Daniel Hunter, Everson Griffin, Xavier Rhodes, Harrison Smith, and Anthony Harris. The Minnesota Vikings are coming off the heels of a thrilling overtime victory against the heavily favored New Orleans Saints. The odds are once again stacked against the Vikings as they face the best team in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers. The Minnesota Vikings offense is built around the game-breaking ability of Dalvin Cook. Cook rushed for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns in the wild-card game against the Saints. He will need to continue his hot play in order for the Vikings to beat the 49ers. Adam Thielen was greatly missed down the stretch for the Vikings, but he came through in a big way in the wild-card game, putting up 129 receiving yards. He needs to continue to play well if the Vikings want to win this game. In the wild-card game against the New Orleans Saints, the Vikings defense held the high-powered Saints offense to only 26 points. The defense will have to give forth the same effort against the San Francisco offense if they want to win this game. The San Francisco 49ers are a complete team. They were 4th in total yards per game and allowed the second fewest yards per game in the regular season. The greatest strength of the 49ers is their defense. They have plenty of playmakers on the defensive line that are game changers. Players such as Nick Bosa, Arik Armstead, and DeForest Buckner are terrific pass rushers and will make life miserable for Kirk Cousins. The Niners also have Richard Sherman and Quan Williams holding down the fort in the secondary. Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman are both terrific pass-catching running backs out of the backfield, which is a huge reason for the 49ers' high offensive totals. George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders, that will be big threat weapons for Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is a solid starting quarterback. However, he tends to make high-risk throws that too often get intercepted. He cannot make those high-risk throws against this Minnesota defense because they will get picked off. This is a matchup between two very well-balanced teams that pride themselves on being great defensive teams. However, don't underestimate these two teams' abilities to score, as both teams are able to win shootout games. The Minnesota Vikings win if Dalvin Cook dominates, Kirk Cousins is good, and the Vikings defense can slow down the Niners' run game. The 49ers win if they establish their run game early, Jimmy G plays great, and the 49ers defense can slow down Dalvin Cook. My prediction is that the San Francisco 49ers win 31-26. The second NFC divisional game is between the Seattle Seahawks and Green Bay Packers. Key players for the Green Bay Packers: Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Za'Darius Smith, Preston Smith, Blake Martinez, Kenny Clark, Jaire Alexander, and Darrell Savage. For the Seattle Seahawks: Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Jaron Reed, Jadeveon Clowney, Bradley McDougald, and Pete Carroll. The Seattle Seahawks are coming off a solid performance in the wild-card game against the Philadelphia Eagles. However, the Eagles played most of that game without their star quarterback, so it was a somewhat easy victory. Unlike other divisional games, this game is pretty up in the air, as I don't really favor any team over the other. I think it's going to be 50-50. The Seattle Seahawks are hampered with injuries. They are down to their 4th-string running back in Marshawn Lynch, who was unofficially retired not too long ago. The Seattle Seahawks might also be missing a few key members of their offensive line in Mike Iupati and Dwan Brown. Despite all these injuries, Seattle managed to scrape together a victory against the Eagles thanks to the MVP caliber play of Russell Wilson and their defense. Russell Wilson put up superb stats in the wildcard game, throwing for 325 yards and 1 touchdown, and also rushed for 45 yards. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are both superb receivers, who are both able to have huge games if the Packers aren't careful. The Seattle defense only allowed 282 yards of offense, while coming up with 7 sacks in the wildcard game against the Eagles. Their defense is going to have to apply that same pressure on Aaron Rodgers, so he doesn't have time to throw. The Green Bay Packers need to rely on Aaron Rodgers to get them to the next round. They will also need Devontae Adams and Adam Jones to be difference makers offensively. The Packers have actually been pretty good defensively this season. They have been giving up only an average of 19.8 points a game. This Packers defense is really good at creating turnovers. They were 3rd in the league this season in turnover differential. Unlike in previous seasons, where the Packers had to rely heavily on Aaron Rodgers to carry them to victory, Green Bay can now win a low-scoring game. A huge reason for this is because of the superb secondary, which features Jaire Alexander and Darnell Savage. They also have two linebackers that can be game breakers in Zadarius Smith and Blake Martinez. This is a matchup between two of the best quarterbacks in the league in Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Between the two of them, it's pretty 50-50 on which is the better quarterback right now. The winner of this game will be the team that manages to play better defense, as both quarterbacks are capable of picking apart defenses. The Seattle Seahawks win if Russell Wilson dominates and their defense can slow down Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay Packers win if Aaron Rodgers is vintage Aaron Rodgers and the Packers defense can slow down Russell Wilson. My prediction is that the Green Bay Packers win 31-28. In my next podcast, I'll be doing an NHL standings update and I also preview the conference round of the NFL playoffs.